everyone, welcome to Nubia. Today I'm going to show you how to make Starburst, a 2-layered motif. I've been playing with a 3-ring 2-layered design created by Jennifer Williams, and I ended up with something completely different to what I was aiming for. So actually I'm not really sure what I was aiming for. Anyway, this is the result. I think it's pretty cute, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. It's actually a very simple pattern of rings and chains. The outside rings are throne rings. I've made those a little differently to normal throne ring, but we'll get into that later on in the video. The pattern is available to download from a link in the description box. Both the schematic and written instructions are color coded, and I'll be working in the respective colors so it's easier for you to follow. As you know, there can be different ways to do one technique, and as always, the techniques that I use and the way I show something is what works for me. That doesn't mean you can't do it a different way. The internet is full of tips and ideas, so try different things until you find something that works for you. To that end, I'll be mentioning different techniques throughout this video. Some of them I'll explain today and some I won't. If a technique already has its own separate video, then I don't need to rehash all that information again today. That would be very time consuming for me and extremely boring for you. Links are in the description box if you need help with any of the techniques. You can also DM me or leave comments in the comment section at any time. I love hearing from you and I love getting all your messages. One of the techniques I'll be using is the magic thread trick. I'll be using my Power Pro loops. It's my personal favorite for hiding tails, and I'm mentioning it now because it does need to be planned ahead. So maybe check out that video before starting your Starburst if you think that's a method you'd like to use. I'm using 2 shuttles with size 20 thread. You can work in one color if you prefer, but if it's your first time working with 2-layered tatting, then 2 colors might make it easier for you to keep track of where you're at. We're starting with ring A, and I'm going to tap over my tails. Our stitch count is 5, picot 2, picot 5. We have our joining picot. Now, all our picots are very small joining picots, so keep them tiny. We're doing 2. You can see that's my joining picot. It's not very big. We have another joining picot and then 5. Close your ring. Make sure your tails are out the back of your ring. Now I have just put in a magic loop in my ring for later. Normally your magic loops go in your chains, but I like to split my tails up. And to do that, for this particular case, I need to have a magic loop in one of my rings. So that just means I need to be very careful when I'm using the magic loop that I don't distort my ring. Okay, so that's our ring. Reverse your work. Set your hand up for chain. Again, I'm tatting over my tail. We're chaining 10. Make sure you snug your chain at the end of making the first half. With a normal throne ring, you can just snug your chain at the end because the same core thread runs through the full length of the chain. We're going to be swapping our threads over, so our core thread is going to change. We'll have blue core thread for the first half and then a green core thread for the second half. I hope I haven't confused anyone. I promise it will make sense when we do it. Right now we're ready for ring B, our throne ring. So sit your core thread, shuttle 1, blue thread, sit that to the side. Shuttle 2, your green working thread, is taken from the chain setup and used to wrap your hand for a ring. First half of the stitch needs to come right in and butt up against that chain. Secure it with the other half of your double stitch. Now it's very easy for our throne ring to pull away from the chain as we work, so even though we've completed our first stitch, I like to continue to hold this section in the pinch and try to minimize the risk of creating any gaps. We're working 14 double stitches. To close our ring, hold everything firmly in the pinch. Again, we need to be mindful of our ring pulling away from the chain. So place both the start and the end of the ring in the pinch and pull closed. As your ring becomes smaller, reposition it so that you can continue to hold both sides firmly. So far, our throne ring has been made like it should be. From here, we have 3 different things that we can do. If you want to continue with a normal throne ring, you can. You'll just have a different look to your motif. So the second side of your chain will be green, and you'll have a softer arc to your chain. So to continue on like that, make second half and make that sit right in under your ring. And now continue with your chain. And that will give you a nice soft curve. If you want to continue with green but you'd like the sharp arc in your chain, make the second half, pull in really tightly and continue with your stitches. So that the second half of our chain will be blue, we're going to use the shoelace trick. This shoelace trick is why we need to snug the first half of our chain. Once our thread is tied, our core thread isn't going to run freely. So make sure your threads aren't tangled. Cross one over the other and pull that all the way down. Make sure you pull it right in to the base of that ring. Now I'm pulling it pretty tightly. I'm also going to hold my ring back on an angle so that when I start the second half of my chain, I can get in nice and closely, and that helps to give me that sharp curve. And we are chaining 10. Snug your chain. And reverse your work. Set your hand up for ring C. And we are working 5 picot 2, picot 5. Close your ring. And reverse your work. Set your hand up for your next chain. And we are chaining 10. Make sure you snug your chain. Get ready for our next thrown ring, which is ring D. So sit shuttle 1 down. Because we swapped our threads over when we made our last thrown ring, shuttle 1 is now our green thread. Shuttle 2 is now our blue thread. So like we did last time, take shuttle 2 from the chain setup and use it to make your ring of 14 double stitches. Close your ring. And we're back to doing the shoelace trick again. Hold that ring back against the chain. Oops. And we're working 10. Starting ring E, we have 5. Now we're joining back to ring A. So bring that ring over. We have 2. Picot and 5. Close your ring and reverse your work. Again, we're doing a chain of 10. Snug your chain. Ring F has a count of 14. Tie your shoelace trick. And complete the second side of your chain with 10. Snug and reverse your work. Ring G, we're doing 5. Now we're joining back to ring C. Bring that ring over. We have 2. Picot and 5. Continue like this until you get to ring M. Ring M needs to be joined to ring I as well as ring A. If you need help with this step, I'll meet you back here in a bit. Okay, for our final blue ring, ring M, we are joining back to ring I. Make your 2 double stitches. And now we're joining back to ring A. And finish out our 5. Reverse your work. And continue with your next chain. Our last green ring, ring O, is joined to ring K as well as ring C in exactly the same way as we did for the blue rings. Let's bring that over to your core thread. Make your join the next 2 double stitches and join to the next ring. And finish out your ring of 5. Reverse your work. And complete your chain. Snug your chain. Now all that's left to do is to join our chain back to the base of ring A and cut and hide our tails. That's it, we're done. I hope you enjoyed making Starburst. I'll see you next time.